Now to India, and the safety and security of the country's extensive rail network is being scrutinised pretty closely, with 2 serious crashes in one day. Officials in the eastern state of Assam say a bomb planted on the track caused a train to derail, injuring at least 50 people. And separately, earlier in the day, an express crashed in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. That killed at least 31. With more details, here's Aparna in New Delhi.
This is all that remains of the Kalka Mail Express. The packed passenger train derailed in India's Uttar Pradesh state, killing dozens and leaving scores of others injured. The impact overturned 15 carriages, trapping hundreds of passengers inside. Local residents could be at the site, carrying the injured to hospitals. The Kalka Mail is one of India's oldest and most popular trains. It was running from West Bengal to New Delhi when the accident took place near Malwa town, southeast of Lucknow city in Uttar Pradesh. Indian officials are now battling a public relations nightmare. On Thursday, dozens were killed when a bus collided with a train at an unmanned crossing in Etta, Uttar Pradesh. Calls to modernize the decades-old railway system are now rising.
We can't ascertain the cause of the accident. Once the rescue operation is over, only then can we say what caused the accident.
While compensation has been announced for the victims, there has been mounting criticism on the delayed rescue response. The first team arrived at the site nearly 2 hours after the accident. Aparna Pande, Jazeera, New Delhi.
Second train crash in India on Sunday was in the country's eastern state of Assam. About 1,000 kilometres from New Delhi. Many there don't consider themselves Indian. That's because there's been a lot of the disconnect has caused a lot of tension throughout Assam's history. Some Assamese have been engaged in a bloody conflict for independence from India since the 1900s. The worst attack was a series of bombings in October 2008, which killed 77. One of the most prominent rebel factions just extended its ceasefire. With the Indian government in June, another was expected to sign a ceasefire this month. So let's talk to Aparna Pande, South Asia analyst, research fellow at the Hudson Institute, joins me now from Washington, D.C. And we know, Aparna, that you've been very patient. We've been talking about American debt. You've been waiting for us to finish on that one in that studio. But let's talk about these incidents. Let's separate them. One was probably a terrorist attack. The other one was something that went wrong with the system. You can't say, therefore, that India's railways are rotten as a result, but they do have a pretty, don't they?
Yes, they do have, and it's mainly infrastructure. Most of this infrastructure, you must remember, was actually built during the British era, and very little has been upgraded or updated since then. So that's part of the problem. So the train crash in Etah a couple of days ago and the one in Malwa just south of Lucknow today is mainly because of the old infrastructure and the fact that the local administration doesn't have enough resources to actually bring people there and to rescue people, and the army has had to be called in to do that. The one in Assam is totally different. That is a bomb which was caught and defused before anything happened, and that has to do with the about 30 odd insurgent groups in northeast India, out of which the 2 main ones, one of them you talked about, the ULFA, or the United Liberation Front of Assam, which has carried on a movement for almost 50 years. Recently, in 2005, they announced a ceasefire, and most of their top leadership has either surrendered or is in jail currently. But they do have splinter factions who have not accepted the ceasefire. It could be the ULFA, it could also be the National Democratic Front of Bodoland, which is demanding a separate Bodo state, actually a separate Bodo country. And even their splinter groups have not accepted a ceasefire.
I haven't looked into this in detail for probably about 18 months, but when I was reading up on it, I discovered that there were large parts of India that were effectively no-go zones for the national police force because of the power that these liberation groups, if you want to call them that, have over particular communities.
It varies from different parts of India. I mean, the northeast, they are insurgent groups. If you're talking about the Maoist groups, mainly in east and central India, and it's a combination of factors. In the northeast, is a combination of factors of communication. These regions do not feel part of India. They feel they've been neglected by New Delhi. Enough development assistance has not been provided, has not trickled down. Then these insurgencies started, the state clamped down with an iron fist, and that increased disenchantment. And then these regions also are ethnically closer to Nepal, Bhutan, Tibet, the surrounding regions. There's been illegal immigration from Bangladesh, Myanmar into these areas. So it's a combination of factors in the northeast. In central and eastern India, where the Maoists or Naxalites are prominent, there's mainly a question of development assistance not trickling down, the state not being able to establish its presence, and therefore people finding these Maoist groups as an alternative to the state, and therefore these groups finding it easier to sort of spread in larger parts of India.
Can I just ask you a quick final question about the state of India's railways? You talked about the fact that they were mainly pretty old. Is there an investment program? Will they get better?
Yes, I think in the last 5 years, the government has tried. The previous, the 2004 onwards, they started this golden quadrilateral system, infrastructure, a lot of investment in infrastructure. It's still going to be a long way because they're focusing on the road, rail, and air. And as you know, it's a very large territory. But it's an ongoing endeavor. It might take about 5 to 10 years more. But hopefully, they'll continue to invest in the infrastructure.
We appreciate your time and your patience. Aparna Pande, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.